Damian Blake, a powerful billionaire, thought he controlled everything, until he fell for Selena Hart. But secrets, betrayal, and a ruthless blackmailer turned their lives upside down. Damian must protect Selena, his empire, and his heart. But can he trust the woman he loves, or is it already too late? A story of love, danger, and scandal that will leave you breathless. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more thrilling romance stories. The ballroom of the Avalon Grand Hotel glittered with chandeliers, every crystal refracting light like a million tiny suns. Damian Blake stood near the floor-to-ceiling windows, his posture commanding, his gray suit tailored to perfection. He scanned the room with sharp gray eyes, expression unreadable. Billionaire, tech mogul, and ruthless negotiator, Damian was used to being the most powerful man in any room. But tonight, something gnawed at him. The charity auction was one of those obligatory appearances his PR team insisted on. He didn't do small talk. He didn't do smiles. But he did like control, and that meant showing the world that Damian Blake cared about more than profits. "Mr. Blake," a cheerful event coordinator said, approaching him. "Would you like to take your seat? The bidding starts soon." He gave a curt nod and started toward the front row, until something caught his eye. She was standing near the registration desk, laughing softly with an older couple, and for a moment Damian forgot how to breathe. Selena Hart. He didn't know her name yet, but he knew two things instantly. She didn't belong to the usual crowd of billionaires and socialites, and she was stunning in a way that felt unstudied. Her skin was warm caramel under the soft lighting, her auburn curls falling in loose spirals around her shoulders. She wore a simple emerald green dress that hugged her curves without screaming for attention. She wasn't dripping in diamonds or designer labels, and that intrigued him even more. When her gaze swept the room and landed on him, Damian felt it like a spark catching dry tinder. Their eyes locked for a heartbeat too long. Then she looked away, collected a clipboard, and moved toward a table, ignoring him completely. No one ignored Damian Blake. He found himself heading toward her before he even made the conscious decision. "Are you working the event?" he asked when he reached her table. She didn't look up immediately. "Volunteering," she said, her voice soft but edged with something sharp. "Not everyone here is trying to buy a tax write-off." Damian's brows lifted. He wasn't used to being spoken to like that. Interesting assumption. "Not really," she said, finally glancing up. Her green eyes were striking, direct, almost challenging. "This is a charity gala. People come to be seen giving, not to give. There's a difference." He should have been irritated. Instead, he found himself smiling, a small, dangerous curve of his mouth that very few people ever saw. "And what about you?" he asked. "Why are you here?" Her lips curved, not quite a smile. "Because someone has to make sure the money actually goes where it's supposed to." He tilted his head. "You don't trust people like me." "I don't know you," she said simply. "Fair." Damian liked fair. Before he could reply, her phone buzzed on the table. She glanced at the screen and for a fraction of a second he saw a flash of something, fear? Dread. In her eyes. "I have to go," she said abruptly, gathering her things. "Wait," he said, more command than request. But she was already walking away, her heels clicking against the marble floor, leaving Damian staring after her with an unfamiliar, frustrating tightness in his chest. The rest of the evening blurred by. Damian went through the motions, bid on a few overpriced items, and let the cameras catch him shaking hands with other billionaires. But his mind wasn't on the auction. It was on her. "Find out who she is," he told his head of security, Mark, as they left the ballroom. Mark raised a brow. "The volunteer?" "Yes." An hour later, while Damian sat in the back of his sleek black town car, Mark handed him a tablet. "Her name is Selena Hart. 27. Works part-time at the Glass Room, that rooftop bar downtown. Used to work in marketing before she suddenly quit last year." Damian scrolled through her file, education, work history, nothing particularly scandalous, until Mark cleared his throat. "There's one more thing," he said carefully. Damian looked up. "Go on." "She's the younger sister of Victor Kane." The name was enough to make Damian's expression darken. Victor Kane. Former head of cybersecurity at Blake Industries. Genius-level IQ. Arrogant. Dangerous. And currently suing Damian's company for wrongful termination, claiming he'd been framed for a multimillion-dollar embezzlement scheme. Damian's jaw tightened. "Of all the women in this city, you want me to have someone keep an eye on her?" Mark asked. Damian considered it. Every instinct told him Selena was trouble. And yet, that moment in the ballroom replayed in his mind, her eyes meeting his like she saw straight through him. "No," Damian said finally, sliding the tablet back. Not yet. He didn't trust her, but he couldn't stay away either. 2 nights later, Damian stood outside the glass room, the city skyline glittering behind him. The bar was upscale but not ostentatious, filled with professionals unwinding after work, laughter and music floating into the night air. He spotted Selena immediately. She moved gracefully behind the bar, hair tied back, wearing black slacks and a fitted blouse. She didn't see him until he took a seat in front of her. Her eyes widened slightly, then narrowed. You again. Me again, he said smoothly. I was in the neighborhood. Right, she said, unimpressed. What do you want, Mr. Blake? He leaned in slightly. A conversation. Selena hesitated, then set down the glass she was drying. Fine. 1 drink's worth of conversation. Then you leave. Damian nodded, a slow, satisfied smile touching his lips. As the night stretched on, their banter grew sharper, more charged, until Damian felt something he hadn't felt in years, fascination. And beneath it, something more dangerous. When she finally turned to walk away to take another order, he caught her wrist gently. You can warn me all you want, Selena, he said softly. But I'm not going anywhere. Her expression flickered, surprise, maybe even fear, before she pulled her hand back. You should, she said quietly. Because if you stay near me you might lose everything. Then she walked away, leaving Damian staring after her, his pulse thudding harder than it should. That night, as Damian's car pulled up outside his penthouse, his phone buzzed with a new message. No name. Just a single line. You're getting too close. Stay away from Selena Hart, or watch Blake Industries burn. Damian's grip tightened on the phone. Whoever sent that message just made a very big mistake. Damian didn't sleep that night. The message still glowed in his mind long after he set the phone down. Stay away from Selena Hart, or watch Blake Industries burn. He had spent his entire life fighting off rivals, competitors, even governments who wanted a piece of his empire. No one, threatened Damian Blake and got away with it. By the next afternoon, Mark had traced the anonymous message to a burner phone, purchased 2 days ago, no security footage at the store. Clean job. Too clean. Victor. Mark asked, standing in Damian's penthouse office. Who else? Damian said, pacing. He knows I won't back down if he pushes me. And now he's using her to bait me. Mark hesitated. Do you want me to? No, Damian cut him off. I'll handle it. 2 nights later, Damian returned to the glass room. This time, Selena saw him the moment he walked in. Her jaw tightened. You really don't know how to take a hint, do you? She asked when he slid onto the same stool as last time. Hints are for men who give up easily, Damian said. That's not me. She crossed her arms. Then you're going to get hurt. He leaned forward, lowering his voice. You're assuming I'm the one at risk. For a moment, their eyes locked, her defiance against his quiet intensity, until someone called her name and she turned away to grab a drink order. When she came back, she leaned closer. You think you can play this like one of your deals, Mr. Blake? But this isn't business. You should walk away while you still can. He smiled faintly. If I walked away from everything dangerous, I wouldn't be standing here right now. The rooftop was quiet after midnight when her shift ended. Selena stepped outside, taking off her apron, breathing in the cool night air, and there he was, leaning casually against the railing. You waited, she said, surprised. I said we needed a conversation, he said simply. She sighed, but instead of leaving, she came to stand beside him. The city glittered below them, lights shimmering on the river like scattered diamonds. You have questions, she said softly. Many, Damian replied. And what happens if you don't like my answers? He turned to her fully, his gaze sharp. Then I dig until I find the truth. For a moment she said nothing. Then her shoulders slumped slightly. Victor doesn't hate you because you fired him, she said finally. He hates you because you embarrassed him. You destroyed him publicly. He can't let that go. That was his own doing, Damian said coldly. He stole millions from the company. Did he? She asked quietly. Or did someone set him up? Damian's expression darkened. Careful. I'm not defending him, Selena said quickly. I just want you to understand what you're walking into. Victor isn't just trying to win a lawsuit. He wants to ruin you. Her voice trembled slightly. Damian heard it, the fear she was trying to hide. Why are you so afraid of him? Damian asked. She looked away. Because he has something on me. Something that could destroy my life if it ever came out. Damian stepped closer, his height casting her in shadow. What does he have? She shook her head. You don't want to know. Try me. Her green eyes flashed with frustration. Why do you care, Damian? You don't know me. Because someone is threatening what's mine, he said simply. The words hung between them, heavy, electric. You don't own me, she said, but her voice was softer now. No, Damian agreed, his gaze dropping briefly to her lips. But you're not walking away either? She didn't. Their kiss was inevitable, slow at first, then deeper, fiercer, as if neither of them wanted to admit how badly they wanted it. When they finally pulled apart, Selena's breathing was unsteady. You should go, she whispered. Before we both regret this. Too late, he said. The next morning, Damian's phone buzzed with news alerts before he even got out of bed. Billionaire Damian Blake romantically linked to sister of ex-employee suing his company. Is the CEO in bed with the enemy? Photo after photo flooded the news feed. Damian and Selena on the rooftop, standing too close, his hand brushing her arm, the kiss frozen in a grainy zoomed-in frame. Mark stormed into his office minutes later. This is bad, Damian. Stock prices are already dipping. Damian slammed the tablet down on his desk. This isn't paparazzi work. Those photos were taken from a drone. Mark frowned. Meaning? Meaning someone wanted this out, Damian said grimly. And then his email pinged. He opened it. Inside was a single attachment, a PDF containing classified files from Blake Industries' government contract, stamped confidential. And one line of text. Your girlfriend already sold you out once. How long until she does it again? Damian's blood ran cold. That night he drove to the glass room again, but Selena wasn't there. One of the bartenders said she'd called in sick. He found her 2 hours later, sitting on a park bench overlooking the river, hood pulled over her head. You set me up, he said quietly, stepping into her line of sight. She flinched. No, I didn't. They have files from my company, he said, holding up his phone. Files that only a handful of people could access, and somehow they ended up with you. I didn't give them anything, Selena said, her voice breaking. I swear. Then why are there photos of you meeting Victor? Her eyes widened. You were following me? Answer the question, Damian said, his voice harder now. Selena stood, anger flashing across her face. Yes, I met him. Because he's holding something over me, Damian. He said if I didn't do what he asked, he'd release the video, the one that proves I was there the night Senator Carver's aide was killed. Do you have any idea what that means? I'd be hunted. I'd be dead. Damian stared at her, stunned. Before he could respond, her phone buzzed. Selena glanced at it, her face draining of color. What is it? Damian demanded. She turned the screen so he could see. It was a live video feed. Victor sitting in a car somewhere dark, smiling at the camera. Tell Damian he has 48 hours to pay, Victor said. Or tomorrow morning, the whole world sees what you've been hiding. The feed cut off. Selena's hands were shaking. Damian's jaw clenched. This wasn't just business anymore. This was war. The boardroom was ice cold, not because of the air conditioning, but because of the stares aimed at Damian from across the table. 11 men and women sat around the polished oak conference table, their expressions ranging from concerned to furious. Blake Industries had lost nearly 12% of its stock value overnight. The photos of Damian and Selena were on every business blog, gossip site, and tabloid. This is a disaster, Damian, said Evelyn Drake, CFO and one of his longest-serving executives. Her voice was clipped, sharp. We have government auditors breathing down our necks because of the leaked files. And the timing couldn't be worse. We're about to finalize the cybersecurity contract with the Department of Defense. I'm aware, Damian said, voice calm but cold. Then act like it, snapped Gerald Walsh, head of the board. We can't risk the company's reputation because of some woman. Damian's gaze cut to him, a warning so sharp that Gerald's voice died mid-sentence. Leave her out of this, Damian said evenly. She's at the center of this. Gerald shot back. Every headline is connecting her to the breach. If you have even the slightest suspicion that she's involved. She's not. The room fell silent. Damian rarely raised his voice, but when he did, people listened. Find out who leaked those files, he said. I don't care what it takes. Evelyn hesitated. And if it turns out she's the leak? Damian's jaw clenched. Then I'll deal with it. He found Selena that night in her small apartment, sitting cross-legged on the floor surrounded by crumpled papers. She looked up when he entered. You still think I did it? She said quietly. I think someone wants me to believe you did, Damian said. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her green eyes. Victor won't stop. You don't know him like I do. He doesn't care about money, Damian. He just wants to watch you fall. And he'll use me to do it. Damian crouched in front of her. Then let me help you. A bitter laugh escaped her lips. Help me? By what? Paying him off. That won't stop him. He'll just come back for more. Then we make him stop, Damian said, his voice low, almost dangerous. Selena looked at him for a long moment, then shook her head. You're not listening. Victor is not the real problem here. The video, the one he's holding over me, shows a murder. Senator Carver's aide was shot in a parking garage 2 years ago. The police ruled it a botched robbery, but I saw who pulled the trigger. It wasn't random. Damian's brows furrowed. Who was it? Selena hesitated, fear flickering in her eyes. Carver's head of security. If that video goes public, I'm not just a witness. I'm a loose end. The implication sank in heavy and cold. Damian straightened, running a hand over his jaw. Then we take the video from Victor before he can use it. She shook her head again. It's not that simple. He doesn't keep things in one place. He's paranoid. He has backups, probably in 3 different cities. Damian's phone buzzed then. A text from Mark. Need to see you now. Urgent. The security footage played on Damian's office monitor, grainy but clear enough to make his stomach twist. Selena. Standing in a parking garage. A hood pulled over her hair, but unmistakable. Victor Kane stepped out of the shadows. The two exchanged a few words, no sound on the recording, then Selena reached into her bag and handed him a flash drive. Victor pocketed it, smiled, and walked away. Mark paused the footage. Found this on a security feed near the East Wharf. Timestamped 2 nights ago. Damian's chest felt like it had been punched. She told me she hasn't given him anything, he said, though his voice sounded hollow even to his own ears. Mark hesitated. Maybe she lied. Or maybe she didn't. Damian didn't know what to believe anymore. That night, Damian went back to Selena's apartment. She opened the door, surprised to see him, but before she could speak, he held up his phone. Explain this, he said, showing her the footage. Her face went pale. Damian, it's not what it looks like. It looks like you just handed Victor my company's future. Her voice rose. Do you think I want to be doing this? He's been blackmailing me for months. If I don't cooperate, I die. Do you understand that? He doesn't bluff. Damian's hand clenched around the phone. And what about me? What about everything I've built? Do I just watch it burn while you hand him the matches? Tears welled in her eyes. You think this is easy for me? You think I haven't been tearing myself apart over this? Every time I meet him, I wonder if this is the night he decides to make me disappear. She turned away from him, gripping the back of a chair like it was the only thing keeping her standing. Damian took a step toward her, then stopped. For the first time in years, he felt something dangerously close to helplessness. Selena, he said quietly, if you want me to protect you, I need the truth. All of it. Before she could answer, her phone buzzed. She grabbed it, and Damian caught the fear on her face before she even read the message. Then she handed him the screen. A single line of text glowed there. Midnight. Pier 17. Bring Damian. Come alone, or she dies. Damian's pulse spiked. This wasn't just blackmail anymore. This was a trap. Pier 17 was empty except for the low hum of waves slapping against the wood and the distant city lights blinking across the river. Damian stood beside Selena, the cold night air biting through his coat. She looked tense, hands shoved in her pockets, hood pulled low. You don't have to be here, he said quietly. Yes, I do, she replied without looking at him. Victor won't show unless he knows I came. The sound of tires crunching gravel broke the silence. A black SUV pulled up near the edge of the pier. Victor Kane stepped out slowly, wearing a smug smile and a leather jacket that glinted in the moonlight. Well, Victor said, spreading his arms. The king himself. I have to admit, Damian, I didn't think you'd come. Too busy saving the world one merger at a time. Damian didn't rise to the bait. What do you want? Straight to business. Victor smirked. I want money. 50 million wired to my account by morning. And I want a public statement clearing me of the embezzlement charges. You give me that and maybe I keep my little collection of videos to myself. You're bluffing, Damian said. Victor's smirk widened. Am I? He held up his phone, tapped the screen, and suddenly the giant LED billboard across the river flickered to life, showing Selena's terrified face in the parking garage 2 years ago, lit by the flare of a gunshot. Selena gasped, covering her mouth. You're insane, Damian said coldly. No, Victor said. I'm patient. This is what happens when you humiliate me. You took my job, my reputation, my future. So now I take yours. Before Damian could answer, Selena stepped forward. Stop this, Victor, she said, her voice shaking. You've done enough. This isn't justice, it's revenge. Victor's expression hardened. Justice? He laughed bitterly. Do you have any idea what it's like to be branded a thief when you're innocent? I lost everything because of him. He jabbed a finger at Damian. You lost everything because you couldn't keep your ego in check, Damian shot back. You cut corners. You thought no one would catch you. Victor's smile turned dangerous. And yet here we are, Damian. I hold your entire empire in my hands. The sound of footsteps echoed from behind them. Damian's instincts went razor-sharp. 3 men emerged from the shadows, Victor's men carrying bats and crowbars. So this was the plan, Damian said flatly. Blackmail and a beating. Victor shrugged. Sometimes fear gets better results than money. The first man lunged and Damian moved before he thought, disarming him with brutal precision. Another swung a crowbar, catching Damian's shoulder, but he barely flinched before driving his fist into the man's gut. Selena ducked behind a piling as chaos erupted, fists, shouts, the sound of wood splintering under the impact of blows. Victor tried to slip back toward the SUV, but Damian caught him by the collar and slammed him against the hood. This ends tonight, Damian said through clenched teeth. Victor laughed, even with blood on his lips. You can kill me, but it won't stop what's coming. Damian tightened his grip. What's coming? Victor smiled through the pain. You really think I'm the mastermind? I was just the first domino. Someone much bigger than me is pulling the strings, someone who wants everything you own. And they're already inside your company. Before Damian could press further, sirens wailed in the distance. Victor shoved him back, jumped into the SUV and peeled away down the pier. The police took statements but found no trace of Victor or his men by the time they arrived. Damian and Selena sat in the back of his car, both silent as the city passed outside the tinted windows. Finally, Selena spoke. You didn't have to come tonight. You could have walked away. I told you, Damian said quietly. I don't walk away. She looked down at her hands. You still think I betrayed you? Damian turned to face her. I don't know what to think. Every time I try to trust you, I find another secret waiting for me. Her eyes met his, pained but steady. You think trust is easy for me? You think I can just forget you accused me of selling you out? I was trying to protect everything I've built. And I was trying to stay alive, she snapped. The car went quiet again. When they reached her apartment, she opened the door but didn't get out immediately. You want the truth, Damian? Here it is. I don't know if I can forgive you for doubting me. And I don't know if I can forgive myself for putting you in this mess. He reached for her hand but she pulled away. I need time, she said softly. Then she stepped out and closed the door, leaving Damian alone with the sound of the city and his own thoughts. When he returned to his penthouse, Damian found a small black envelope on his desk. No one knew how it had gotten past security. Inside was a single memory card. He slid it into his laptop and a video began to play. Not Victor. A shadowy figure in a suit sat behind a desk, voice distorted. Mr. Blake, the voice said. You handled Victor well. But he was just the first move. The game is only